Okay. All right, everyone, it's time to get started. It is precisely 3 p.m. So let's go ahead and begin. Everyone here has signed up for this free financial webinar. It's called Understanding Your Salary and Personal Income Tax Planning in Sweden. So this is a comprehensive guide, particularly for expats. So let's go ahead and move forward. And another note to mention, this is a collaboration between Intertalents in Sweden, which is a company that I founded, and Animalai and his company. So let's go ahead and just very briefly review just a quick agenda. We will be giving the introduction, which is what's happening now, and then I'll go ahead and hand over the presentation to Animalai. And during this time, we will be recording the webinar. Afterwards, we will begin a Q&A when the presentation is complete. So everyone will be automatically muted during the presentation. So if you have any questions, make sure you either write it down, send it in the chat, hold on to them. And then at the end, we will start the Q&A where you can raise your hand and we will systematically go through everyone until we answer basically as many questions as we can handle for the day. And again, just a quick note, this event will be recorded. Okay, so just to give everyone a really quick background about myself, some of you actually found this presentation through some of the promotion on my side, and also Animalai has done some of his own promotion. So this is a collaboration between the both of us, and just a little bit about my background and how I ended up in Sweden as an expat. So my name is Amanda Herzog, and I moved to Sweden about 8 years ago from the US in 2017. And I came here as an exchange student to study communication at Jönköping University. And after I graduated, I wanted to find a job, and I thought it would happen quickly. It did not happen as quickly as I hoped. It took me around 13 months and over 800 applications to finally get a job in my industry. And during this time, I learned a lot of information about the Swedish job market that wasn't very clearly available. And I felt that people weren't talking about the most important cultural differences. So I decided to found my own company called Intertalents in Sweden. And my goal here is to educate other expats on how to understand the Swedish job market a lot faster than it took me. And so now I work as a career coach for international professionals in Sweden. And so with Intertalents in Sweden, our mission is to empower foreign-born job seekers towards career success in Sweden. And as I mentioned, this is particularly for people who are living in Sweden. Maybe you moved here from another country or you have a foreign background. And so our slogan that we have is we teach others how to crack the Swedish code. And basically how we do this is we offer online courses, ebooks, PDFs, webinars such as the one that we're holding now. And our material is especially created for foreign-born professionals who want a shortcut to career success in Sweden. And so what we're hoping is that we can take our experience as internationals and see the blind spots that may not be easily seen by the Swedish community of what is so different from their culture versus maybe all of the different cultures that everyone here comes from. So we try to help others to adapt. So our mission is to help internationals such as yourself. And so if you'd like to learn more about Intertalents in Sweden, you can visit our website, www.intertalentsinsweden.com. We do have a page where we have quite a few free resources, so you can download PDFs. How do you get a job if you don't speak very good Swedish? How do you understand the basics of Swedish culture in terms of professional, social, communication, and a lot of other interesting things, including other webinars. For example, we have a webinar on networking. If you have any additional questions, you can email us at info@intertalentsinsweden.com. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. The last link here on the list is my LinkedIn. So make sure you're following me where I'm posting on a weekly basis with information to help internationals and sort of advocate for us in the Swedish community. And now we come to the main event that we're all here for and so excited to learn about. So I would like to introduce Anna Malai. So we are collaborating together. He is a personal finance enthusiast. He has been helping expats for the last 3 years here in Sweden. He's also an expat himself from India. So some of you may already be familiar with him and his background. And today he will be presenting on personal finance for expats in Sweden. So with that being said, I will go ahead and hand it over to you.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Amanda, and I welcome you everyone to this presentation. So let's not waste time and let's move ahead with that. So before we start the presentation, the first thing first is the rules is like everyone will be on mute mode right now. You cannot unmute yourself. So at the end of the presentation, when this is finished, we will stop the recording and then we will open the floor for question answers. There you can ask your questions directly to me and we will try to have a discussion. And if you have questions to ask, how will we know that you have a question? So on the Zoom below, you have a simile symbol. When you click that, you have an option for raise your hand symbol. So once you click that, then we know that you have a questions, and then a queue will be formed, and we will open the floor for each person to ask the questions. And this session is mostly about finance. So a big disclaimer. We are providing financial awareness. That is my main goal, and to provide the correct information based upon my practical experience. Nothing should be considered as advice, because in Sweden, you cannot legally advise without a specific licenses. So this information should be considered as awareness creation and information, and should never be considered as advice, as we cannot provide advice. With that thing, let's get in. We will get into salary and taxes, and then how do you tax report in Sweden? And then löneväxling is salary exchange for high income earners in Sweden. And what are the various deduction you can get on your tax returns? A basic concept about these two accounts, ISK and AF, which are used for investment in Sweden, and what is a big difference and how you can use it for your good. And this DTA is the most complex topic, which a lot of less people know about it. This is a bilateral agreement between two countries, because we all have our home country and Sweden as a resident country. So we will get into that. And some smart tax planning options, what I have learned in my last 7 to 8 years here in Sweden. And then if I keep on speaking, you'll get bored. So at the end, I have like a 10 to 15 minutes of quiz. So people can not start thinking, and they let them answer. And let me see, did you understand my presentation? At the end, we have a Q&A. Before getting it, I just spend 1 minute so that you understand why I am doing this presentation, so that you can connect with me and the reason why I'm doing this. As Amanda told, I'm from India. I moved in 2011 to Norway, and then 2017 to Sweden. So when I lost my job in the oil industry, that is when I understand the importance of personal finance, and then I started to get into it more. So last 8 years, I have read, understood, and experienced a lot of stuff on personal finance, which I want to share with you. As a guy, I am interested in traveling. So I'm passionate about traveling. I've traveled so for 48 countries. So my main job is not finance. Let me be clear. My main job, I am an instrumentation engineer working in a process industry. So right now we are working with the future technologies like the hydrogen production plants. So that is my main bread and butter. Why I'm doing this presentation? Because when we as a family have experienced the downside of not doing financial planning, and later when I talked to my friends about this topic, no one was very enthusiastic, or then I found there's a lack of awareness among people on this topic. And the education on this is really missing in our school days. Maybe now the schools, or they're starting about talking about money management from now. But in my days, or in our days in schools, we were never thought about money management and personal finance. So this has been really lacking. And I strictly believe all countries needs to have this money management as a part of school curriculum. So even if one family or one person adapts financial planning from my presentation, I think my efforts are more than worth it. So Personal Finance Sweden AB is the company which I founded like 2 years before, but I've been running this group with Indians for 3 years. So we have built a community of 8,000 plus Indians living in Sweden, and that is where we gather and help in each other. And it's a big community. We get a lot of information helping each other, and I really love this group. And with that said, the last 3 years, I've developed trust among the Indian community, and now I'm trying to come out with experts and trying to build my trust with experts. So trust is really important when you're dealing with finances. That said, let's get into it. So let's find out the salary and taxes. Let's say you have a monthly income before taxes, 45,000 kronas. Just take, because most of people who are working in engineering or like office job or MNC, this is almost the average salaries for most people between 40 to 50,000 kronas. So let's say 45,000. Then the average income tax, the income tax can differ, but the average, what most people pay, lies between 27 to 30%. So if you take out taxes of 30%, that is 13,500 kronas you will pay to tax, and what you get at hand is 31,500. Probably this is what everyone knows, and you may be thinking, Annamalai, I already know this. Why are you saying this? So this is what people know, but what people doesn't know is the top layer, which your company pays to the Swedish government for employing you. That is called the social taxes or arbetsgivare, which is 31.42. Like 14,113 is a tax paid to the government to employ you. So the total cost for the company is much higher than the salary what they are paying to you. So if you take this everything together, if the salary what you get in hand, you're actually paying 46.7% taxes. Only after paying those taxes, you're getting your salary at hand. So this is one thing which I want to say. And people, you may be curious, what is this social taxes and what is that? So if you, everything I always take it from Skatteverket. Skatteverket website is pretty good, but it is too huge and a lot of information. But if you spend time and sit there and read, it's one of the best website to get all your knowledge. And please refer to Skatteverket web page all the time. So the image from Skatteverket says that this amount, 31.42%, the tax paid by the company is split it into different sectors. Let's say, how do you get parental allowance if you're going on parental leave? So you get this from this taxes paid by the company. So you get some part from there, and their occupational injury. So the different contributions the company makes to employ you. But the other side is, let's say you're going to shopping now and you want to buy, let's say, a camera or a phone, then you are paying VAT to buy that. So after your take home salary, and then you're going to buy something, again, from the cost, you are paying 25% more tax to buy it. So just think how much taxes we are paying it. I mean, I'm not against taxes, but it's a good thing. That is how the Swedish welfare is made up of. I'm just explaining the different taxes here. So you need to understand the company pays us 31.4% before giving you salary. Now, what are the other remuneration or the company pays to an employee in Sweden? There are a lot of other benefits also company pays, which doesn't comes under these calculations. It's the vacation pay or the whole holiday pay on like July, which you get. And then you have occupational pension or tjänstepension in Swedish. So occupational pension is not mandatory in Sweden. It's an optional concept, but most of the big companies pays you occupational pension when you work there. And some companies pays this parental benefits support. Now, what do you mean by support is you get parental benefits only from Försäkringskassan, but some company has a nice gesture. They will say, we will pay you 10% of your income as an additional resources to support you when you take parental leave. So some company can pay, no, we pay you 20%. So it all depends upon the company. And not every company, most of the company provides health allowance or friskbidrag, 5,000 kronas, which you can use it for your gym, exercise, or playing sports. This is a very good allowance, I believe, and I think most of the company provides it. And some company provides bonus. And then there is work insurance. So a lot of these things goes behind the picture to employ a person in Sweden. And I keep hearing a lot of things on the social media and internet, all these things. But let me say you one thing. To run a company in Sweden is pretty hard because of taxes. And to employ someone, it's also pretty hard because of the so many things which goes behind the scene. So taxes was one of the biggest thing in Sweden. Now some important salary numbers. I mean, I know you will have a lot of questions right now, but please make a note inside and I will try to answer you at the end of the session, every question. So I have made two columns. This is a monthly salary I'm talking about before the income tax for this year. We're almost going to enter the new year. So I thought, let me add 2024 also, but the 2024 numbers hasn't come in yet, but this is almost the approximation. That is why I have it on red color. So don't take it as exact. It can be plus or minus 1,000 up and down. So, okay, Almans pension is a government pension. Like every month, if you earn salary in Sweden, a part of your salary taxes goes to the pension, but it has a limit. Maybe you're earning 70,000 kroner in Sweden, but not all of the amount goes to Almans pension. They have a limit of 46,438 kroner. This is what is eligible, meaning 18.5% of this goes to your Almans pension. From next year, this limit is going to increase. That is what I've heard, but the numbers hasn't come yet. Låneväxling is for people with higher income. So current year, let's say you're earning more than 50,000 kronas in salary, then any amount above 50,000 kronas, you can move that amount to pension so that you save taxes. And I will come to this in a detailed slide about låneväxling. Next year, they say the number is going to be like this. One of the most important number for high earners is a state tax. Above a certain limit, the Swedish government add an extra 20% tax only on the amount above the value. So anyone earning above 51,158, they have to pay 20% extra tax on that amount. Income tax is different, but still they have to pay this state tax of 20% more. So let's say from next year, if you have an income above this thing, you can move a part of your salary to pension. Any amount above this 51,245, you can move to pension and you can save your taxes. These are legal things. So these are legally structured in the Swedish system. Now, coming to taxes, the biggest question people still find is who is a tax resident of Sweden? Now, what Skatteverket says is a person who has moved to Sweden and intend to live here for 6 months. And from the day you move in, the first day you move in, then you are a tax resident of Sweden. When you are a tax resident, it means all your global income are taxed in Sweden. This is what many people don't understand, or they don't take it seriously, is that maybe you have income from your home country. That income can still be taxed in Sweden. So keep in mind that if you have dividends, stocks, gains, a bonus, or some salary, something which you have from your home country, or you're selling your apartment, everything can be taxed in Sweden also. Financial year of Sweden, it's January to December. The reason why I put it, because in Asia it's different, and probably, I don't know, in Brazil or South America it can be different, because in India we have from March to April to March. But in Sweden, the financial year is from Jan to December. Even a person who has moved outside of Sweden after living here can still be considered tax resident. That is a special law in Skatteverket, but we will not get into those things right now. That is not our focus. So what are the important days to file taxes for next year? So for this year, from Jan to December, whatever salary you were getting, on next year, March 2024, you will get a document from Skatteverket that is called Incomes Declaration 1 or Incomes Declaration 1, which will have all your income which you got in this year, Jan 2023 to December 2023. It will show all your income, taxes, interest, and everything. They will give you a document, a very important document to open and read. And then they'll give you 1.5 months to verify all the information and file some extra information which you want to show, like the income from your home country. You need to show that to Skatteverket. And then they have the time from June to December, 5 to 6 months, to take the final decision and give you a refund, or they can ask you to pay back some extra taxes. This is how the tax system for individuals runs here. Some other important points to notice, I really like the digital mailbox concept in Sweden. So you get all the documents digitally. Let's say we are traveling for business trip, we are going to home country, we can miss some important emails sent by Skatteverket, Försäkringskassan, or from the hospital. So if you have a digital mailbox, it comes digitally as a PDF to you and stored, and you can access anywhere from the world using a bank ID. So just go and open a digital mailbox. There are so many different options in Sweden. I have something called Kibra. I'm not recommending anything, but I use it. That is what I'm trying to say here. And the taxes in Sweden also depends on which commune you live in. This is something new to me also when I moved to Sweden. This is not in a case in India. Let's say the range of taxes depends from 28% to 35%, depending upon which, either you live in Stockholm, Gothenburg, or Malmo. A simple example can be, I took a tax table 33 from Skatteverket website. As I live in Gothenburg, my tax rate is 32.85%. Maybe in Stockholm, Kaminö, Järfälla, or like Sollentuna, it can be different. You have to go and open and find what is your tax rates. And a state tax, as we already discussed, above certain limit, 20% is applied. So there are a lot of new expats coming into Sweden, and they don't understand what are the deduction they can get. And Skatteverket has a special type of deduction actually for new expats coming into Sweden. I really like that concept. Sweden is trying to give this kind of deduction to new expats. So the first option is they have something called double accommodation, or something called dubbel bostani. So this is valid for minimum 2 years, but maximum it can be 5 years if there is a special case. What are the various rules to satisfy? The employee needs to spend the night at the place of the work. So let's consider someone moving from EU or from Asia to Sweden for job. So then we are spending the night at the place of work, which is Sweden, yes. The distance between the place of residence, your home country, and the place you're going to work is more than 50 kilometers for sure. It's more than 50 kilometers. And this is the main rule. The person needs to hold an apartment or a resident or place to stay in your home country for yourself. You need to still hold a place in your home country. Then only you are eligible for this deduction. If you don't have a home or an apartment in your home country where you moved from, then you cannot claim this deduction. Now, what are the various amounts allowed? Renting cost in Sweden is like, if you hold an apartment in your home country and you live in Sweden, you can deduct your cost of rent you paid every month here in your tax return. That's a substantial amount. And then you can still deduct the rent and electricity bill and waste garbage collection. But home insurance, internet, garage space for a car parking, those things you cannot deduct. And there's one more option called meals and small expense. Only for the first month, you're allowed to deduct an amount for every day, 72 kronas, which comes out to be 2160 kronas. If you moved from the EU to Sweden for a job, then you have one more type of deduction called home travel or hemresor, which means technically every week you're allowed to travel to your home country, but not we do it every week, but maybe monthly once or 6 months once we go to your home country in the EU. It's a very complex with the different things inside, so I can't have in a 1 hour presentation explaining all the rule, but there is a possibility. It all depends upon your individual case, whether you have a family or you're staying with your parents, how do you travel, the public transport. There are a lot of rules inside it, but just get to know that there is a rule. If you're curious, just go to Skatteverket, open and read. And what's the deduction for job seeker? So this is a recent, not a law, but there was a court case which happened recently. And I read the court case approval, and they say you can get a deduction if you're a job seeker. But the condition is you need to be a job seeker in Sweden, and you need to get arbetsförmedlingen allowance or bidrag. Maybe you are part of Jobs Utveckling Guarantee or some program for getting that money. then the deduction is possible for the phone calls you make to the companies, your travel cost to interview, traveling to arbetsförmedlingen offices. And there's a detailed rules presented on the Skatteverket website. So this links gives you a more detailed information on what is a court has said about this rule also. But for all people working in Sweden, in any job, there is a default deduction which comes automatically in your incomes declaration one. First is called grundavdrag or basic deduction. That is dependent upon your salary, you get a deduction between 17,000 kronas until 30,000 kronas. And then you have one more deduction only for people working. It's called jobbskatteavdrag. This also, there is a special rule, but these are automatic. You don't need to do anything for this default deduction. Skatteverket themselves do it. But what is the other deduction you get? It's like, I mean, this is not from a tax table deduction, but there's something called RUT or RUT-avdrag. So this is kind of if you hire someone and or ask someone to come and clean your apartment or help with babysitting or like carpentering work or changing the floor, you only pay 50% of the labor cost. The other 50% is paid by Skatteverket, and that is done via this option called RUT or RUT-avdrag, and that value is mentioned in section 4.2. If you have taken that benefit on that year, that's only for information. Let's say you have an apartment in Sweden or a villa in Sweden, and you're paying interest to the bank. And we all know right now there's a lot of interest. It's around, I don't know, 4 to 5% interest on bank loans. So the interest, what you pay to the banks, you get deduction for it. And the rule is every year, if you pay I'm not talking about the principal of the amount on the loan, I'm just talking about the interest component. So let's say you're paying 100,000 per year as interest, then 30% of that you get back from Skatteverket on your tax returns. But any amount more than 100,000, you only get back 21% from Skatteverket. So my thinking is if you're two people working in Sweden and if you have a higher interest, split your loans between two people. So you both can get back 30% deduction from Skatteverket. Deduction for loss in stock markets. So this is not valid for ISK accounts. I will come to an ISK account and explain it. But if you have something called AF account, Aktie or Fondkonto in Sweden, and you make a loss via mutual fund or like stocks or like crypto, anything, you can still claim that deduction, not the whole amount. A specific percentage of that amount is given back by Skatteverket. Same way for deduction for loss of sale of apartments or villa, you will get back certain amount of percentage from your losses from Skatteverket. So these are the various deduction which we have talked. Now, just curious, like maybe people are thinking, what is this? Are there any tax-free income in Sweden? But yeah, true, there are some tax-free income in Sweden. Let's find out. If you earn only maximum up to 21,600 kronor income in Sweden, there's no taxes. So this is for low income earners. And if you earn only up to this limit, it's 0% income tax. Rental income, maybe you're renting out your apartment or your rooms in Sweden or something, then rental income up to 40,000 kronas and certain amount of maintenance, which comes out to be maximum 50,000 kronas per year, is income tax free. And on Skatteverket website, there's an exact calculation page and also explanation of the rule. This thing, I really like it because if you're a nature person, goes to forest, you can pick berries, mushrooms, and probably you can sell on the Facebook market or to your friends. The income made up to 12,500 kronas is tax-free in Sweden if you pick berries and mushrooms. Inheritance is tax-free, which I really like in Sweden, because earlier there was some tax, but now they have abolished the inheritance tax. So if you get some apartment or a lot of money from your parents or from your relatives, yeah, it's tax-free. Insurance claims is tax-free in Sweden. Yeah, so these are the only tax-free options you have in Sweden. Now we come to låneväxling. So what is loan of axling is you can save your income tax and you can also save the state tax, what you pay 20% extra above your income tax. If you choose an option called loan of axling, or in English, it's called salary exchange. This option is not provided by every company. It depends whether your company is providing it or not. You need to ask your HR, call them that, hey, are you providing me this option? For next year, almost 51,254 kroner. If you're earning more than this amount, then you can move that extra amount above. Let's say you have 55,000 kroner as income. So maybe then it will be like 3,800 crowns. You can move to a pension so that you don't have to pay income tax and state tax. And when you move to pension, what does it mean by move to pension? Then you're moving it to a pension fund where the money is invested in a stock market, and that is outside the collective bargain agreement. I don't have time to explain collective bargain agreement right now, but that's outside a CBA, and the fund fees are a little higher than the fund fees, mutual fund fees, what you see in a collective bargain agreement. But when you use this option, the company also adds an extra component of 5.8% into your pension. The reason being, company actually saves a cost by paying you pension and not paying you salary. That extra cost, company will give it to you. So you do get some extra component also. But before choosing loan of waxing, you need to check something before you get into it. You need to talk to your HR and find out your overtime cost, your holiday payments, your salary increment. Everything will be based upon your salary before loan of waxing, meaning your higher amount. Let's say you earn 60,000 as salary, but maybe you did 10,000 as loan of waxing. Your take-home salary goes down to 50,000. So, but for next year, the appraisal or increment or any holiday pay or overtime should still be based upon your actual salary before loan of waxing, which was 60,000 kroners. You need to get this point confirmed from your HR. Because it is a little bit in detail concept, it's hard to explain right now, but if you're moving a part of your salary to pension, you're actually losing 30% of your occupational pension. But companies are so nice here that they add this component also, and you get that into your pension. So loan of waxing is one of the best options I have came across in Sweden. So like everything has advantage and disadvantage. What is the disadvantage of having loan of waxing? Less take home salary. Obviously you're not losing money, but your take home salary goes down maybe by 5,000 or 6,000, whatever you're changing. The money in the pension is locked till your retirement or until 55 years of your age as of now. So you cannot take out your money, whatever you're moving by a loan of waxing. Just keep in mind, when you take out pension after 55 or 60 years of age, when you're going to take out pension, pension is taxable, so that you will pay tax later on when you take pension as an income. Maybe you're new to Sweden, you want to have a loan for apartment, then the bank shall consider your salary after loan of waxing. Maybe the amount for loan approval can be lesser. So this is one of the negative things when you have loan of waxing. But if you go maybe due to some reasons you have a long-term sickness, then the salary after loan of waxing is considered for the sickness benefit and from ITP, so that you will get a little bit lesser payment. That is not a big difference, but this is good to know what are the disadvantages. I hope people can hear. Yeah. Now we will come back to savings accounts. So in Sweden, if you're interested in stock market, equity funds, or personal savings, which I think everyone needs to have it for our future, then there are two accounts which are possible in Sweden. That is called an AF account and an ISK account. So an AF account has different names. It can be called as VP-konto, depot, or aktie och fondkonto. An ISK account can be called as investing sparkonto. Now, what are the basic difference? Both accounts are used for investing in stock markets, mutual fund, and trading. But this is where the biggest difference is on the capital gains. If you have an AF account and you made a profit, you have to pay 30% tax on the profit. But if you have the same fund or stocks on the ISK account and you make a profit, there is no capital gains tax, but there is something called a holding tax. The holding of your whole fund value or in that account is taxed at 0.883% as of this year. Next year, I think it will reach above 1% because of higher interest rate, but then after that, it's going to go down. Deduction for loss. If you make a loss in an AF account, you can get 21% of your loss back, so you can claim back from Skatteverket. This is an advantage of an AF account if you make losses. But in ISK account, you cannot claim back any losses. So you need to weigh yourself which accounts do you like. Here you have to pay taxes, but you can still get some benefits, like the downside is protected. Here, yeah, nothing, no tax on anywhere. Dividends, again, the same concept. This account is taxed, this is not taxed. This is also another difference which comes to reporting to Skatteverket. If you make a lot of buy or sell transaction, you have to report sometimes manually via a K4 form, or you have to get a report from your broker and you have to fill some information manually. In ISK account, those things are not needed. You don't have to fill anything. Skatteverket knows everything because they just find the holding value and they tax you according to that. Deposit guarantee. You do have a deposit guarantee with banks here in Sweden, which I really like. It's like up to 1 million kronor and 50,000. Your money is safe. Let's say tomorrow the bank goes bankrupt. The Swedish government will come into and they will pay you the amount of money of cash lying in that account. So every account is insured up till 1,050,000 kronas. There are different banks where you can open this account. All your banks like Handelsbanken, Swedbank, SEB, all these can give you, Nordea or Danske Bank can give you these accounts. And there are also online fintech companies like Avanza and Nordnet. They can also provide you these accounts. The most people uses are these fintech companies, Avanza and Nordnet. Nordnet has an English option, whereas Avanza only has a Swedish option as of now. Okay, now coming to double taxation avoidance agreement, the DTA, which everyone probably is looking forward to it. What does it mean? It is actually a tax treaty signed between two countries so that the same income doesn't tax two times in two different countries. So when we live in Sweden, we are tax resident of Sweden as we are living in Sweden. Then we need to show all our global income to Skatteverket, as I said earlier. But how many people living in Sweden as expat have you declared your home country income to Sweden in any of the last years? When I ask this question to people, they say, no, we have no idea that we have to declare. But it's your responsibility that you need to declare. If you're not declaring, then as per Skatteverket, it is considered as a tax crime. So please make sure that you report all your incomes outside of Sweden also to Skatteverket. DTA sometimes is also called as bilateral agreement in some countries, but the concept is same. It is a tax treaty signed between two countries. But when you open a DTA, it has so much articles inside. It has 31 articles. And for me, it's very hard to go and explain each and every article, but this is how a DTA article looks like. And they write about your each and every how the interest is taxed, how the dividend is taxed between two countries, how the business profit is taxed, and who is a resident. They have all the rules and regulation for these two countries signed. It's an excellent document, but when you read for the first time, it's very hard to understand. It took me at least 1 year for me to understand this document by talking to Skatteverket, to my friends in different companies. Then I understood this document. So let me give you a practical example. I mean, instead of talking, I will give you a practical example how these things work. So who can tax an income? The source country, meaning where the income is generated. Thus, that country has a right to tax your income, but also the country where you are tax resident. For us, it's Sweden. That country also has a right to tax. But then both countries are fighting with each other. Okay, I have the right to tax, but then who actually has the right? But then DTA comes and says, I'm the boss. So I will give you the rules and you both countries follow the rules what I have set. So DTA is a pretty important document, and that is a boss for when both countries are trying to tax your income. I'll give you a practical example. Because I come from India and I do have read the DTA rules between India and Sweden. That is why for 100% I can say this. Maybe you come from a different country, maybe from France. Then we have to open a document between France and Sweden. Maybe you come from Brazil. Then we have to open a tax agreement document between Brazil and Sweden, and we have to read the rules before I say something. But this example focuses on India and Sweden because I've read the rule. I know what I'm saying. I have got some bank interest amount in India. Then the source country is India. India says I cannot tax it, but I am a tax resident in Sweden. Then Sweden also has a right to tax it. Then what I do, I go to the DTA, I read the rules. Then I found, okay, both country has a right to tax, but at different percentage level. Those levels are determined in the DTA. Now, the other way, this year, all banks in Sweden are giving you interest, even to keep your money as a savings. In that way, if the interest is generated in Sweden, the source country where the income came is from Sweden. So Sweden can tax it. I'm a resident of Sweden, so only Sweden can tax it. So here, the India doesn't come into the picture because source country and the tax resident country is the same for me. So this income, only Sweden has a right to tax. But this income, which is generated in India, then both countries have the right to tax it. The most frequently asked question is, I'm moving my money from my home country to Sweden and vice versa. Do you have to pay taxes? No. Moving of money has no taxes. So DTA is an important concept if you have multiple income from multiple countries. Now, frequently asked again, people, how does Skatteverket knows that I have an income in India or somewhere else? Then you have to read a concept called CRS, Common Reporting Standards, an agreement signed in the OECD between all the countries. There is an automatic exchange of data. Yes, let me repeat. There is an automatic exchange of all your financial data between two countries. So the income, what is generated in India, Sweden, Skatteverket have the right to see or they get that information because of this agreement. The same with US and Sweden, maybe with all other countries. So when you have income from two countries, it's your responsibility that you understand the tax rules and follow it. Do you need help with reading the DTA tax rules and trying to explain? You can approach us. We can help you with opening the specific DTA for your country, and we will try to open, read, and then we'll explain the rules to you. Maybe now you realize, okay, I need to show my previous years of income from my home country to Skatteverket. How do I do it? You can obviously more than welcome to call Skatteverket and ask them. If you have the luxury of time, the best thing is go to Skatteverket, but then you have to stand in the line for 1 hour. And each person has different opinions. But we have done this the last 3 years for many people here, so we know have the experience. So if you want to change your previous 5 years of tax returns, we do help you with those things. Coming to smart tax planning, based on my experience as I've lived in Sweden. Have you arrived new in Sweden in 2023? Then the last 2 years, you can claim double accommodation benefits, as we discussed. You can claim your home loan, personal loan, car loan, education loan, interest paid in your home country, also to Sweden. But this all depends upon the DTA, what the DTA says. I know the Indian Sweden DTA, it says it's possible, but before you claim this, we need to open the DTA between your country to actually know whether you have the right to claim these deductions. Claim the losses from stock market from your home country, it's also possible. Again, we have to read the DTA rule. Within Sweden, let's say if you live in Stockholm with your family, but you got a job in Gothenburg and every week you're traveling, you can still eligible for this double accommodation benefit. You can deduct your travel expense, you can deduct your housing cost in the new locations. So that is how People with family, they get a new job, only one person goes out of their family to work there, and they come back on the weekends. They have this right to claim these deductions. Loan of vaccine, as I already said, you have the option to claim, to move your money to pension. This is something not many people have done that. Let's say you're quitting a job in one company and moving to another company. You have a bulk of amount which you get something called vacation pay. There's two options. You can take vacation pay as an income and you pay tax, or you can move that vacation pay to pension and you save tax. Also, the company adds an extra component there also. So these are the various options you can do with the vacation pay. Moving, cleaning, or changing floors or changing something in your apartments, you can use Ruth and Ruth Abdrag, so that you can hire a competent and legal companies in Sweden, same cheaper price. I do see in Facebook these times they're asking for, can someone come and repair these things? I can pay you in cash and those things. You don't need it. The Swedish government is giving you a deduction via Ruth or Ruth Abdrag. Hire a correct company, you get this deduction. They will be half price, so it will be the same price as you get hired someone. I'm not saying not qualified, but it doesn't have a legal company for insurance claim. So always hire a legal company and use these deductions. Visiting your home country for more than a month and you have a car, you can take the car out from the service, which means just doing online. Then you means you don't have to, you pay actually lesser amount on the insurance of the car every month, the time you're outside of Sweden. These are for people who has apartment or villa in Sweden. So let's say if you buy an apartment and you sell it for profit, then you don't need to pay tax on the profit on selling that apartment if you reinvested that money in a higher price villa. A lot of Swedish do that, so that you're actually not saving tax, but you're actually deferring the tax payment. But you're using that profit capital to buy a higher apartment value. This is how most of the Swedish people, they first buy an apartment and then they sell for profit. They use that money to buy a higher villa. This is how they do things here. As we told again, you can claim the interest on the loans when you have an apartment or a villa. If you need a new loan, let's say for anything else, maybe to buy a car or for something to renovate, you can approach the same bank and you can get an add-on loan to your apartment value. You get a cheaper loan. This is possible, but for that you need to have a broker valuation of your apartment price to be the new price. You need to submit that and then you can take the loan. Jan Canning is like a tax adjustment. This is a little bit a tougher concept for me to explain. This is for people who is paying a lot of interest. Let's say you have an apartment here, and right now the apartment interest rate is higher. Maybe you are paying more than 100,000 kronas just to interest to the bank. Then what happens? You have to wait for 1 year till next year to claim this money from Skatteverket from the tax returns. Then maybe it will come next year end. I mean, I don't need to wait for this money for 1.5 years, this year and the next 6 months for me to get this money. Then what I do, I go to Skatteverket and make a tax adjustment for the current year. I tell what is my income, what is my expense, what is my interest rate, and then they give me a new tax calculation so that I don't have to pay 30% tax this year. Maybe I pay a lesser tax. So this year I did this year, I'm planning with Swedish tax Skatteverket, and they said my tax rate has moved from 30% to 13%. Reasons: I have an apartment in Sweden, I'm paying a lot of interest to that. I made this deduction already by now so that I don't have to wait until next year to get this deduction. But this year is already passed, so I don't recommend anyone to do this thing right now. Wait for next year to do it. Other important points: if you are a family, I will say everyone needs to have a life insurance, because after you, your family needs support financially also. Life insurance pretty important for people with family. Medical insurance, it is a topic of what you call controversial arguments. I don't have to say anything. I just say that you evaluate your needs. If you need quicker access to doctors and appointments, it's always good to have a private medical insurance. Some top companies provide this medical insurance, then it's good. If not, you can also buy it from private companies. Then you don't need to wait to get an appointment to Watson Toll or a GP. You can go to a specialist directly within 7 to 14 days. It's called care guarantee by these private insurances. If you're working in Sweden, I think a and union is pretty important. You need to be a member of both these things. A is something called unemployment benefit. If you lose your job, a will give you some amount up to a limit only. But if you're a higher income person, let's say if you're earning more than 36,000 kronas, you need to be a part of a union also, because they have something called inkomstförsäkring or incomes insurance, which covers the higher part of your salary. So both these insurance are pretty important. When you approach the bank to buy an apartment, they always say, okay, move your pension fund to us, then we can give you a cheaper interest rate loan. If you're doing that, just make sure in which fund your capital is going and how much is the management fees for the funds. Just keep an eye. Don't have any fund which is more than 1% in your pension funds. Time for some quiz. Yeah. Amanda, can you hear me? Is what okay?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Then, we will have a quiz for 10 minutes just as a fun thing. Let's see if people understand what I'm trying to say. And then we will have a Q&A at the end. Or just give me a minute. I will share my screen for this. Can you see my screen? Okay, wait, I will.
Do you want me to keep it unmuted?
Yeah, that's much better. Yes.
Yeah, I can see the screen, and some people are
Okay,
commenting in the chat.
okay, so people, I think you can scan this QR code to join this quiz, or you can just open your browser and just type this one, ahaslides.com/pfss, then you will come here. Let's start some interesting thing.
So we have about 94 participants, and it looks like, yeah, there's maybe 26 people joined.
Yeah, we will just wait for 2 more minutes to join and then we'll start.
I just want to say this is a very fascinating presentation. This is my first time attending your personal finance presentation, and it is so detailed. Even one slide on its own could be an entire presentation.
Yes,
It's such precise information. So I just want to share that I've learned something new in every single slide, and I'm sure many people here probably feel the same. So I'm really curious to hear feedback from people in the chat and in the Q&A.
Yes, yeah. If you like it, please say something to encourage us.
Yeah, and if you're interested in even sharing like a testimonial, you can message that to either leave it in the chat if you're interested in it, or email us so we can let other people know what to expect with this presentation.
Yeah. And generally, how did you feel? It was too much of information, or some information was just too hard to understand, or
How do I feel about it?
yeah?
I feel, first of all, it is a lot of very specific, precise information. So again, I feel that it could take any slide and make that like a 30 to 45 minute presentation on its own. So I would be really curious if people maybe they can write in the chat, what is your favorite slide or favorite subject? And if there's a popular slide, that alone could be a presentation or even an entire course. I mean, what you're doing here by collecting and documenting everything that you've researched and learned is, I'm sure we're all, I know I'm grateful, and I'm sure everyone here is very grateful for you summarizing all of the many hours and probably years that you've been collecting this.
That is
Yeah. Someone said the best was about tax reduction. I kind of agree. I think I really like the deductions
true.
and little secret tricks that most of us don't know about.
Yeah, yes, that is good. I mean, yeah, deduction is what everyone likes because they're getting back the money.
Yes,
But
it's really
I think we can start if there's 30 people only joined out of 95. Yeah, we will start with them who is inside.
sure.
Waiting for place to join 29. Okay, let's start. I mean, after this quiz just for 10 minutes, and then we will open the floor for question and answer at the end, guys. So yeah. So this is a sample question just to show you how it works. Okay, the right answer is yeah, 1,050,000 kroners per person per bank. So let's say if you're a millionaire, you have 2 millions. So you can open two bank accounts in a different bank and keep it, then your cash is safe in Sweden. So yeah, I think most people will understand per person only, but yeah, in Sweden, it's also depends upon financial institution. So it's each financial institution is also possible. So from now, it starts the pace. Yes. People are so knowledgeable. So pension is the government pension, which is given by the Swedish government. That has two parts. One is called pension, and second is called premier pension. That is controlled by the state authority, pension Pensionsmyndigheten. Wow, people understand the main concept. Perfect. Yeah, that is correct. That when you move out of Sweden, you cannot take out your pension from Sweden when you move out. You can only get it when you retire at your age, 65 or something, whatever the rule is. So the leader is Mishab and then Gautam and then Bharat and Nilesh. Perfect. That's a leaderboard. Woohoo. That is great. I'm so happy. Only ISK account has something called out of this ISK and AF. Only ISK has holding tax. There's no capital gain tax if you make profit on this account. So ISK account is good for people who understand stock market and know how to make gains. That's correct. 15% cash you need as of now. 85% you can take a loan from the bank. Oh, it's a tough competition between Gautam and Mishav. Wow, and then Sifa and Nilesh. Okay, just two more questions and then probably we are done with this. Wow, all 47. Excellent team of people we have. That is correct. Yeah, most of the people are choosing right. So life insurance is for like if you pass away, then the insurance company will pay a lump sum amount to your spouse or dependents or your kids. So it is good for people with family that you protect your family and dependents with a life insurance, which I feel is most important insurance for any family person. Let's see who gets this right. Wow, 24 people are following the current news. I'm impressed. That is correct. Right now, it is at 4%, and maybe the next meeting is coming on 23rd of November. Let's see what the next banks comes up. Are they going to hold the rates? Are they going to increase? I'm pretty sure they're not going to decrease. Let me know. I can be wrong, but let's see what do they do. So the next, okay, this is not a quiz. Wait, before you, it's a word cloud. And if you really like the presentation, 10 is the highest you can give points. If you really hate it, you give it 1, or you can write some text also, whatever you like, but just to get an instant feedback from people. So it's not a quiz, just a feedback. Thank you, because most of the people have given 10 and 9. That is why the number is so big. And other is people are given comments there, insightful, informative, very detailed. Yeah, that is what I like. It's like things should be detailed, then it's make things much clearer than just saying theoretically. Whatever I've said is from my practical experience with filing taxes here. So then let's see, that's it. Let's see who is the winner. It's Gautam. And the second is Kishore. Yeah, I think the winner always gets something like what you call a one-to-one meeting with me for a free, or you can get this access sessions, because I think you are an Indian origin and we have a group where we have 17 recorded video sessions, so you can get access to that if you like it. It's just drop me an email. Then I come to the last slide. A big thank you to all of you, and to also Amanda for helping me in organizing. We do also provide services. I haven't really come out for expats and said what I do. I generally do it mostly for the Indian community for the last 3 years. But just if you're curious what we do and how we can help you, we help with your tax filings here in Sweden, with reporting your incomes, how to file taxes and DTA. And we can also help you how to change your tax returns for the last 5 years if you're interested to show your home country income. We also help people with starting Angel Pharma and our RB company. And we have done this a lot because a lot of Indian people we know are IT guys, and they do freelancing work for IT in USA or like other European countries. So we have opened a lot of RB company for them and established the company here and register with Bolagsverket and Skatteverket for F-tax, VAT and everything. So if you want those kinds of service, we do help with people with that. And we provide guidance on personal finance. Let me make sure why did I bold guidance, because we do not give advices. Advices meaning buy this mutual fund, buy this stock, or buy this insurance product. We cannot say it. We are not authorized to say it, but we give guidance on the overall concept, like how you came, you are financially aware of the concepts. So we provide concepts and awareness so you can take your decision yourself. So we make you financially aware and make you stronger in the financial jungle. So we provide financial guidance on insurances, mutual funds, taxes, bank loans, on how to set interest rates, goal setting, pensions, and the future thing. We're also thinking about savings for kids and other things, which we are working on parallelly. But if you just need, like, I know a lot of experts, I just need a 10 minutes meeting with you. They send me a message and those things. I lack the time to reply to everyone and make a meeting. But if you just need 10 minutes and you have a quick question to ask me, you're more than welcome to ask me. You find a link on the top of my LinkedIn page called Book a Meeting, where you can book a 10 minutes meeting, which is free of cost. I don't have so much time. Every Thursday, I do have 1 hour of time, which I dedicate to this type of meetings. So there is a QR code. If you scan this QR code, you will directly go to that booking page, but you still find that link also in my LinkedIn page below with a book an appointment tag. But for people who have longer discussion, I want to understand other concepts. We have a 30 minutes booking, maybe all 10 minutes booking are full, you don't have time. We charge a nominal fee because our thing is to help people. And as I told, this is not my main income. I'm an engineer professionally, and I'm quite happy with my job. So this is not one of the main source of income, but to value my time and the time I spend with people, I need to value myself time. That's the reason why do I have this fees for the booking. If you need, you can scan this QR code, which will lead you to a Calendly page, and you can do a booking, and we can talk for half an hour on anything about taxes and personal finance, investment, any topics. And contact details is, this is my email ID, financialstudent26@gmail.com. And thank you, and it's open for Q&A. Anyone who has a question now, on Zoom, you have a symbol called Simly symbol. Click that, and then just click raise the hand. Then I can see who all have questions to ask, and then we will answer your question. So right now I will stop the recording also so that we can talk.
Okay, I just want to jump in with the Q&A. We do have people who have been leaving questions